rise, football fans, as the Welt Rheaume Miami Dolphins report with David Furones is in session.
Welt Rheaume has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They are committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. Here's Miami Dolphins insider David Furones.
We are ready to rock, ready to roll. Talk about day 2, which is really the last day of minicamp. They're done till training camp because tomorrow, closed session, nobody around, right? They kicked you guys out, right? You're not allowed tomorrow, right? Is that what it is?
We do have a Mike McDaniel presser still coming up in the same room tomorrow, and they'll do a walkthrough. So, Mike McDaniel said that if he saw what he needed to see on Wednesday, he'd cut it down to a walkthrough, and then you heard a big roar from the players when he announced it to them afterwards. They really like to hear that.
All right, so you're gonna go watch a walkthrough?
No, we don't have access to the walkthrough, but we still do have a Mike McDaniel press conference, which was already scheduled.
Okay, no, it's torturous enough to go through minicamp, so you also have to watch a walkthrough. That would be like
no. Although I bet there'd be a lot that we can probably determine from it, alignment, the stuff that they don't want us reporting during camp, but yeah, won't be for our eyes.
Right, exactly. That's the good stuff. As always, let's wrap up what we've seen so far in the first couple of days. First of all, let's talk about the big stuff, the Tyreek Hill thing. Where are you at with all of this? Because you know what I've said from the get-go. I have not changed. I have not waffled. I don't think they do anything this year with him whatsoever. I think it's more of the agent and the players stirring it up. I don't think it's coming from inside the building. So your thoughts on whatever you're hearing and what you think is happening.
Yeah, I thought it was telling that when I did ask Mike McDaniel on Tuesday about why his contract was not restructured when the team was willing to do so with so many other players, he really stayed away from that subject. So I feel like other instances, and I know he wanted to play the role of, okay, I am the head coach. I coach football, so I'm not going to take part in that. But if it was Austin Jackson getting an extension during the middle of the season, then he'll be more than willing to talk that side of the negotiating business at the table aspect of it. So I thought that was telling. And Tyreek Hill made his stance clear that he would love to retire with the Dolphins. He would love to spend more time with them, but he still needs to be paid as a top 5 receiver. I see you already. I talked
about this on the show today. Okay? Let's step into the reality of this world. Who the hell retires on your team? Who stays for life anymore, my man? I'm sorry. I don't know what Tyreek Hill's world is like, but Tom Brady ended up on another team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not going. We don't even have to go all the way back to Peyton Manning. We don't have to go back to Joe Montana, Willie Mays, Joe Namath. We don't have to do any of that shit. Just look at what's going on lately. Did Jalen Ramsey stay with the team that drafted him, or is he on his third team right now?
Third team.
Is Odell Beckham on the fourth team he's been on, fifth team, or whatever it is right now? You start looking around. Nobody, bro. Nobody finishes anywhere. Kirk Cousins started in Washington, went to Minnesota, and now is in Atlanta. Nobody ends. Derrick Henry would be the perfect player to draft and retire in your team, right? I mean, dude, that guy's a freak.
Running back, but yeah.
But he's a freak at that position. He could still be productive for a few more years because he's LeBron-like. He's different, dude. He's one of those athletic freaks. You know what I'm saying? But he's the kind of guy you would love to retire on your team in the old days. So I'm not sure Tyreek Hill is right now, but I don't think he looks around at the landscape of what's going on. In the NFL, that shit is gone, dude.
Yeah. I think he's expressing his willingness.
I get it.
wants. But at the end of the day, you like you said, you look at the reality, and when there's no guaranteed money beyond this upcoming season, then that's a tell. And the Dolphins' actions themselves have been a tell in this case. So I think that you would always want to move on before it gets too late.
I always say, don't listen to whatever they say. Bro, pay attention to what they do. Look who they pay. They pay those 5 important positions. I tell people all the time, they don't pay running backs. They continue to do all those kind of things. The other thing that he does, Chris Greer's a hard-line sales guy. Have you noticed that so far the last several years that he's been running the show? When he has a contract, he sets the contract. If he gives you some money, he'll give you some money. But he's not going to be the guy that's going to be handing out all kinds of contracts. And when he wants to cut bait, he cuts bait, dude. Pay attention to him, dude. Look what he does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just, they don't even have to tell you. You don't even have to go inside the building and have inside or any of that shit. Just look at their recent history and how they do things. That's why I told comfortably everybody that we're going to let go of all those guys this year, Rob Hunt and Wilkins and all, because they don't look at them as cornerstones. Cornerstones are Waddle. Cornerstones are Bradley Chubb, or now coming up will be Jalen Phillips. Cornerstones, those are your guys that you're going to pay. Tua, those are the guys you're going to pay, dude. That's what he does all the time. And that's why I think it's what you just said now. Dude, you answered your own question. There's no guarantees. They didn't go back after his money to because they needed the cap space, and they did not do it. And everything's been generated on that side, nothing on this side. You know what I'm saying? So the writing's on the wall. I don't know. I'm just,
I'm with you. Actions speak louder than words in these cases. And your point, I think that's somewhere where you really have to give Chris Grier a lot of credit in is not handing out the free money. I know from the fans' perspectives, they always get sympathetic with every player. Oh, pay this guy, pay that guy, extend him.
Right.
Yeah, but you think it's unlimited resources, but I mean, you pay one guy, that means someone else you can't keep. So you can't just keep everyone, which was kind of funny because Tyreek Hill, he sort of like takes it as that approach, like, yeah, I love that Jalen Waddle got his money. Yeah, I expected I need to get more money. Yeah, Tua should have been paid. So yeah, Tyreek Hill, if he was a GM, he would just pay everyone, and then there is no salary cap apparently. But these are the constraints that you have to work with if you're Chris Grier.
Yeah, man. And by the way, next year they have all their picks. They have the early picks, so they can go get their receiver if they want to. And remember what I told you about the Odell Beckham thing. If he works out for 1 year, I can see them extending him another year because they don't have to fork over a whole bunch of money or guarantees that'll lock them in for several years. None of that. It's something that they can get in and out of right away. And that's kind of what they like. They like to have that flexibility. And that's why, that's why I think, and here's the other thing about this situation. He has zero leverage. Zero leverage. He's had a year and a half of turmoil off the field. And you could also say, you could pick at some of his moments this past season that he failed the team. And so, if anything, Tyreek Hill needs to be a great soldier all year, because if he starts to, rock the boat, he'll have less people next year waiting to sign him. And if he thinks he's going to rock the boat and bring Chris Grier to his knees, that guy doesn't do that kind of stuff. So it's like he really has nowhere to go except he's put himself in a position where he has no leverage anymore because of his behavior off the field, because of the stuff that's happened. He has to kind of prove to everybody else that he can stay out of trouble for the next year.
Right. That's nothing that you want out of one of the faces of your franchise when you talk about his off-the-field behavior. And then now the Dolphins in extending Jalen Waddle. Now you have your number one of the future. You still do have this season where you're going to have a third year of them together, that 1-2 combo, which is arguably, if not definitely, the best in the league. So enjoy that. And then afterwards, and Waddle's in a position where eventually we believe it to be, as we've said on this program, after this season, then to later on be that number one option down the road as he continues to reach into his prime, while Tyreek Hill now getting into 30. we know at some point he's not going to move as fast as he has been, and he won't be leading the league every year. For a player that is that dependent on his speed and athleticism, eventually those things start to wear down.
Yeah, and by the way, one more guy that we have on this team here, Terron Armstead. While he has an injury history, if you're the New Orleans Saints, you drafted the guy. He's been one of your greatest players. You could have kept him a couple extra years, even deal with a couple of the injuries, and then let him retire. And you're going to retire his number probably eventually, and all that kind of stuff. Did he end up in New Orleans? Nope, he's here in Miami. You know what I mean? That's the world, man. That's the world we live in. All right, before I get to Tua, let me stay in that position there. Wide receivers. Talk to me about the young guys, bro, because people worry about Tyreek's not practicing, Odell. I don't give a shit about those guys, dude. They've got enough tread on their, they've taken enough tread off their tires. They can rest. I want to know about the Washington boys. I saw Craycraft made a beautiful pass, 2 days ago. Talk to me about the young guys. I see Braylon dropped another pass, which I think he has pretty much no shot to make this team anymore, overall, because he's had more. I mean, he's had a vacation here for 3 years. That thing's going to end too with Tanner Conner. So talk to me about the receivers. What have you seen? Because receivers and corners, I think in camps you can see a little something.
Yeah, certainly during OTAs and these mini camp sessions. Eric Alzugaray started off strong, but then haven't seen as many plays from him these last couple of days at mini camp. Actually, today had one that he should have secured, and then one of the undrafted rookie DBs. I can't remember if it was number 34 or 43. I'm dyslexic when it comes to this now, but he knocked it out of his hand. I had it in my practice report. If you want to check it out on sunsentinel.com. So he jarred it loose from his grasp, so wasn't a good job of securing the ball there from Alzugaray. So would like to see him continue on some of that earlier momentum that we've seen. The Washington guys, I think now Taj Washington, we haven't seen as much recently. So I think Wes Welker might have hinted at maybe something he's dealing with now and injury-wise. So hopefully the Dolphins can get him back soon. If so, but he was making a little bit more plays than Malik Washington, although Malik Washington, when we've seen him, we still see the traits, that short area quickness sometimes and some sporadic plays. But I think Taj we had seen more so. And then, that was a great catch in the back of the end zone, one-handed juggling, diving by River Craycraft. Matthew Sexton, we've seen a couple times, been around that he was signed to that futures contract before all the offseason moves. So sometimes you see number 87. Braylon Sanders is one that we had 2 consecutive days where you saw a drop from him. So
he's done, bro.
Yeah.
He's done. It's over for him. It's done. That's another easy prediction for me. I don't really need to do anything else. With the Washington boys here, with Craycraft here, Odell, bro, the numbers. It's over. It's over for him. He's playing pretty much to try and showcase in game 1 of the preseason. He better hope he can get on the field and showcase so maybe somebody picks him up. Or in those practices, because you're practicing with each of the teams. So maybe you can put something in practice on tape. It's desperation time for him, at this point. Now, on the flip side, the corners. Young corners, Nick Needham coming back. Cam Smith, I think he got burned today in one.
And before today, then I felt Cam Smith had been having a decent offseason stretch. You didn't see him on the wrong end of a lot of these, but Jalen Waddle got him a couple times, which he's going against Waddle, but now I'm struggling to remember who was the receiver. But there was another time when he gave up something. But that one of those Waddle plays, it was between him and Saran Neal. And then they gave up a play where he got open deep, broke away for what ended up being a 60-yard touchdown. Mike White delivered in 11-on-11s. Of course, Tua's only been doing 7-on-7. He's been staying away from the full team drills. And then Waddle just outran the rookie safety Patrick McMorris for the touchdown. But haven't seen much of Cater Kohu, but Jalen Ramsey though. Now we knew this would happen, but you're seeing sort of some of the moving around that Anthony Weaver is willing to do, and we got him to talk about it a little bit.
You're not going to. They're not forcing it from last year. No, they're going to move him around. Oh, he doesn't do that. I kind of tried to explain that all year last year. Bro, the old man doesn't do that shit. He just doesn't do that. now it's changing because now that defense is going to have all kinds of multiple looks. He's not the only player that will be multiple, by the way. My prediction is Von Holland will be very multiple in this defense. Okay, so I mean, you may see it in practice, but I'm just telling you. I know from following football and knowing what Javon Holland can do. Javon Holland can defend the run. He can defend the nickel if you want. He can play deep safety if you want. If you need to play, a strong safety, he'll do that too. He's great in coverage, short and out in the open field. So I just think with Ramsey and Holland, I think this defensive coordinator is going to unlock something that was there that they did not use, last year, because these are two elite talents that are very multiple. And so I think, guys like, Jalen Phillips might be a guy that could be used all kinds of ways and the rushing purposes. Remember, Chop is a guy that's lined up all over the place. They've talked about that. And so all these kind of things, I can see Weaver kind of messing around. It's not just a Jalen Ramsey. Other guys, you're going to see, they're going to be moving around a little.
Yeah. And I mean, Jalen Ramsey, not just moving around, but then we saw him get a pressure at one point to force it. So maybe this is part of the scheme thing, but I mean, it was a practice highlight that he ended up rushing the quarterback. Skylar Thompson was back there on this particular throw, made him throw to the check down a lot earlier than he wanted to as he was going through his progression. So things like that. Even Zach Sealer moving around on the line as well. So just you see his willingness to try different things, and I think that's going to really add so much to this defense. A lack of predictability, element of surprise that opposing offenses are going to be hit with.
And he's going to have to be a little creative early on because he's not going to have his two best pass rushers, healthy. Those guys are going to be coming back slowly. So, and I know Shaq Barrett's actually looked pretty good so far and all that, but eventually you're going to have to get creative in order to create some pressures from different ways. And it's going to come from linebackers. It's going to come from safeties, corners. You're going to have to mix it up because you just don't have the guns on the outside early on in the season. Yeah,
certainly. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's one thing that he'll highlight for sure.
All right. One thing that the business of the game stepped in one of your press conferences today, you guys spoke with Jalen Ramsey. And so obviously the friendship with X came up. But at the same time, you learned that he has another friendship on the team that happens to be a coincidence now. So walk us through it.
Yeah. I mean, I asked him about, the team moving on from Xavier Howard, and then now Kendall Fuller is that guy next to him. And then he revealed to us a little bit. Maybe some other people elsewhere knew about this, but maybe not. I mean, I had never had this connection down for anything, but he goes back to high school with him. Now, I did a quick just pull up Kendall Fuller's profile, and then he's from Baltimore. I know he went to Virginia Tech. Now, they were part of the same rookie class, so 2016, Xavier Howard too.
Each other in high school and things like that.
When you're in the same recruiting class, and then obviously, we know that they were the same draft class, so that 2016 class, which I guess Chris Greer really loves his cornerbacks from that draft class when you go 8 years with Xavier Howard, and Jalen Ramsey made the move for him, Kendall Fuller now. So, they go way back apparently. So, he was he didn't love to see X go, but he's got his boys.
Listen, now that I think about it, I would love to be a burglar, right, in another life where I can sneak in and find Chris Greer's reports from that season, because obviously he must have followed up. He must have liked those guys all the way from from when he was, scouting and they weren't paying attention to him because, he wasn't the guy at that moment. So it might be interesting to see what were his college reports for some of those other guys.
A lot of strong grades for the 2016 cornerback draft class, for sure.
Yeah, man. Good stuff there. All right. So, what else besides before we get to Tua, anything else stood out to you? Because I know D lineman, O lineman, all that kind of crap. That's nothing now in minicamp. That's not that serious.
Yeah, we just had a bunch of interviews with assistant coaches. We spoke with Terron Armstead earlier today. He did say it's not and I just wrote about this in the Sun Sentinel. He's not necessarily approaching it like it is his last. He approaches each season on his own. So, maybe we get to next season and he's contemplating it again the same way. He just goes 1 year at a time. So, he took us through some of his decision-making in coming back. And then it's not like he's going into this one like Dwayne Wade's one last dance. So he hasn't
played the season yet and gotten all injured and all beat up by the end of the year. It'll be a different Terron Armstead at the end of the year. Will say, "All right, guys, I've had enough of this. I put my body through hell. I'm done." Right now, he's feeling fresh and re-energized. So he's like, "Hey, maybe I'll play another year." By the end of the year, he's like, "I've had enough of this shit. I'm out of here, bro. I'm done."
Yeah, maybe. So he's taking every measure this offseason to try to help himself. Maybe with a little bit better luck, he can come close to a full season. Maybe just limit how many injuries he's battling. He'll be on the injury report at points in the season for 4 injuries. 2 years ago, last year, he had up to 3 and also missed time on IR with the knee injury, the preseason ankle one. So, hopefully this works out better. And then if he stays healthy, then maybe he does change his mind. Maybe it does. Maybe this season goes a little better, and he says by next year, okay, I still got one more in me.
Well, you know what the key? You said you're going to put him on bubble wrap. Keep his ass on bubble wrap till you start the season, because last year he has bad luck, dude. It's not even that he's injury prone. People are rolling up on the back of his legs all the damn time. It happened twice to him last year, dude. It's like that shit sometimes doesn't even happen to a lineman for a year or 2 or 3 sometimes. And freak stuff seems to happen to this guy too, on top of him being injury prone. So no practice for you, dude. No, you're not scrimmaging against that team. You're not doing anything. You'll play when the regular season starts. That's what you have to do, unfortunately. You got to put him on bubble wrap. A guy like that, you got to treat him with kid gloves. And I hope they do that this offseason, this training.
Yeah, that's the approach. I mean, didn't even have to – you stay away, voluntary OTAs, take care on your own, which he said now he's doing. He does yoga and Pilates instead of running sprints and gassers like he used to when he was younger. You take care of everything you can take care of. And then, we know what you're capable of doing. We don't need to see it in the offseason.
Right. He's the guy. He's that employee in your, everybody has it. It's that employee, that man or woman that just goes to work every day, is an outstanding employee, comes in with a great attitude. And it's just that person you can count on. And they end up with the gold watch, 30 years later and all that kind of shit. That's who that guy is. It's just, unfortunately, he has the injury history. But the beauty is he's the kind of guy you can trust, that, he's going to handle his off time the right way, conditioning. He's going to be a pro, and he's always going to be ready. So that's the beauty of Terron Armstead. You can actually trust him.
He's that reliable employee, but he also has to call out sick often. And in football terms, that's the injuries.
Right. But I mean, character-wise is what I mean.
That's
what I mean. It's impeccable. So you can trust that, okay, he has to take time off. Okay, we get it. He'll come back and he'll be the best he can be because he's an ultimate pro. What else stood out to you? Because I know you guys got to talk to Barry and the whole Patrick Paul stuff. Now that he's got the biggest lineman in his career so far, is what Barry said.
Yeah, he did say that he had thought about it for a little bit and said, yeah, he's the biggest guy I've ever had. So obviously what stood out to him in selecting him was the size, athleticism at the position. And I think, he really sees someone that he can just develop. The Dolphins know that he needs some development and some of the finer things in his technique, but they see the raw abilities that they know they can work with once they have him in the building. So, and it's a great situation that with Terron Armstead coming back, another benefit is that you do have him, you do have Austin Jackson, and even Kendall Lamb. If one of them goes down first, then that's your first line to replace one of them, where Patrick Paul doesn't need to get thrown into a baptism by fire like that. So he could really take this year to learn. Maybe he has to play if a couple of guys go down, but that'll be just so monumental for that young kid, who's a great kid, by the way, too.
And by the way, you forget Keon, but
Keon Smith, yeah.
And the few snaps that he played last year, he played well. He was looking better in training camp. I even said leading up to 53, Keon's going to make this team because I thought he shown enough. And so there's something there with him too that they like. So Keon might be ready to play next year. Yeah, we might, like the Dolphins, if Keon hits and Paul hits, can you imagine that? That would be sick if they're able to do that, because Austin Jackson is already a player. And I believe Austin will go to left, and then Paul will be your right, and then Keon can be your right and Paul can be your swing the first year if the second year if you want. If that's, it depends on what kind of progress Keon makes, but clearly they like that kid. There's no doubt.
Yeah, there's options there, and then cross training different guys like Liam Eichenberg said how he was working in at center, but then he's had the benefits of that position. So then now he'll be competing out at guard. So now we've seen that during the minicamp sessions after he was at center and OTAs, as you had Aaron Brewer get inserted into center there.
You know what I'd love to ask Barry the next time that you talk to him, and see if he could answer this question, or maybe they're different players because it is left tackle instead of right, but because he's such a big dude, I wonder if there's any comparisons to like a Trent Williams, who's an enormous human being. Now he is a special athlete too for his size, so I wonder if there's any comparisons of such a big player, and who does Paul watch to kind of emulate, because that's the kind of guy that, has to carry his kind of a frame and play in that kind of a league.
Yeah. You know what? Trent Williams might not have been a bad choice as far as biggest lineman. Actually, now I want to see the measurables. What's Trent Williams' height and weight again? Then I got to compare it to what Patrick Paul is. Patrick Paul is 6'7", 331. So 6'5",
330.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, very close on the weight part of it. So, height wise, a couple of inches shorter, but
right.
Yeah.
Oh, Trent is a couple inches shorter, right?
Right. Yeah. That Patrick Paul is 6'7". Yeah.
Right. So 6'5". But again, it's two mammoth tackles. So I wonder, ask, hey, are there any similarities between these two guys? And I would love to know if Patrick Paul looks at Trent Williams, or what big ass lineman does he look at, because he can't go and look at Aaron Brewer.
Right. Yeah. Totally different.
It's completely different players, not just positions. I mean, the size, the athleticism, the moving around is completely different. But who does he look at? Because I was thinking about Trent Williams. All right, let's get to the Tua stuff. And to me, I kind of tripped out on it, because the way I look at it is Tua, no matter how much you guys baited him, are you concerned? Are you, what was it?
We're baiting him though? Well, come on.
Baiting with what was it? Concern? What is it?
I had the whole thing in my in my article in the Sun Sentinel.
All that shit, and to me, he's a guy. Look, bro, if you've ever been in a contract negotiation, I've been in several. The word antsy, whoever threw that one out in the group, that was the beautiful one, because when negotiations are going on, they're talking, your agent's talking to them, they're talking to your agent, and all that kind of stuff, and it goes on. And I've been in some that took a couple months, because for whatever reason, the owner was just kind of, like that, and so it does get antsy. And then the other thing is, he doesn't like talking about his personal shit with anybody. He doesn't like talking about his kid or his wife or his marriage or his money. And so to me, I think he was more agitated at the fact that he had to talk to you guys about it, because every time you tried to use an adjective of negativity, no, dude, we've made a lot of progress. No, I'm not concerned. No, that's not the one. Antsy, and to me, it was more about a guy that was more uncomfortable in public with the media talking about his personal shit. And two, this is just something that is kind of a monster he has to deal with. And the anxiety of a normal contract, that's kind of where it goes. It's not, I just didn't read into anything negative. And then here's part two. You don't sign Waddle and you don't sign all these rookies if you don't have parameters already done on the Tua contract.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It just, that don't work, bro. The biggest contract you're going to sign on the entire damn team for the next 10 years, and you're going to sign all these other people. I think they've made a shit ton of progress. They're just in the middle of the, okay, how much guarantees for this roster bonus? What protections do we have for an injury? Those kind of, those sticking points that are there. But I think their base salary and the guarantees and all that, I think all that shit is already in place. So go ahead.
I'm with you. I think that definitely is kind of the sticking point. Some of those guarantees, the small minutia in all that contract jargon is probably what's just holding it up. And it was interesting because I felt antsy. I thought some of the other ones that were thrown out there, like concerned, felt more like a pretty safe one. But
no, concerned is spun. Woo! Forget about it. You say concern. Oh, to a concern. Is he gonna? Oh, the Dolphins are questioning this, that. When it's been completely the opposite. Like, he's getting this deal, dude. It's
maybe
done.
Maybe impatient is the one that we needed to ask.
The antsy was the perfect one. I don't know which one.
Okay. Yeah, impatient is close to antsy, where you kind of have this anxiousness, this eagerness to just get it done because it's right there, but it's just not finalized yet. So I get.
Don't you have a contract with the Sentinel, or is it just one of those agreements?
I mean, I'm on salary, and then as I've gotten a promotion to different beats, then you get a raise here. If you get an offer somewhere else, then maybe there's a counter to keep you around. But
yeah, it's not a contract. It's
right.
It's I get it.
Way, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bro, you're negotiating. I'll give you an example. The standard, a lot of times in broadcasting, they used to tell you 6 months no compete. Okay, but the son of a bitches didn't pay you for 6 months. So on one of my deals, I don't know, it was maybe 15 years ago. It was my second contract because my first one, I fell for it. I didn't have an agent. I fell for it hook, line, and sinker. And when I got an agent, he goes, "Hey man, you know that they fire you and they're only going to pay you for a month, and you can't work for anybody else for 6." And he goes, you can never, ever, agree to that ever again. And so in the next contract, that was the hook. That took 2 months to work out because they were like, well, okay, we'll pay you 2. And I'm like, no, dude, no. If you're going to pay me 2, then the non-compete is 2. So I go, let's do this. You give me 3 months guaranteed of non-compete. Because if you fire me, you're paying me for 3 months while I work, because I can go get a job somewhere else right away. Yeah. So you're not going to you're not going to keep me out of work. Plus in Florida, it's a right to work state, which now I'm getting too deep on all of this. I could take them to court, but the problem is those sons of bitches have more money than I do. So it's, they know that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? So they screw you in all kinds of ways. So I did not, and we ended up agreeing to a 1 month non-compete because the cheap bastards did not want to pay extra months. So I go, you want the 1 month? Then the longest I will sign a non-compete is 1 month. You're not keeping me out of work. I'm married. F no, I told them. So, and my agent was also like, no, you cannot do that. You cannot sign. And so there are things that sometimes are in contracts and like Tyreek Hill there's an out next year for them. And there's a reason why they made that out at that point. You know what I'm saying? And there's a reason why they got Igbenogany to replace Byron Jones. And then they got now Cam Smith to eventually replace another corner down the line. they do these things in order to kind of plan ahead of time. And so now, they went and got Odell, they went and got 2 young, receivers, and now they've got their pick next year and they've got an out. So, these are the things that you have to understand that go on with the game. And unfortunately, this is I think these are the kind of things that at times, it's not that the contract's not basically agreed to. It's just there are little loopholes that you've got to protect yourself as a franchise and as a player.
Right. And I think that Tua's comments were telling in that he expected, I think by now, that it would have been done. So that's why I think he wanted that the first time he talked this offseason, away from the luau, which was, his event. So this is the first time he was speaking really on the record this offseason since the end of last season. I think for this one, when he wasn't going to do OTAs in front of the media, and then kind of like this is the one before you get into training camp, I think he wanted it done by that setting. So that's why he didn't want to having to go in front of the media and answer where things stand. That's why he's getting a little antsy. That's why he chose antsy as that word, and why you probably saw in a lot of that video that he wasn't so thrilled to talk about every aspect of what he did this offseason and the slimming down. And, he answered those questions to his credit. So which I do appreciate, but you could tell he didn't want to be there and have an answer all of those things.
He didn't want to talk about his weight or anything like that. Why? Because everything then gets taken out of context and stretched out to other things. Last year, Florio kept writing that he was under 200 the year before, not the last year that he bulked up. The year before, when he was at 215, 220, and because you're at practice, I'm at practice, you're standing there next to him, and Florio keeps writing, oh, no, he's like 195. That's why they're lying about his weight. And so he sees shit like that, and it's like, so why am I going to start being honest with you guys about what I lost weight? Because then it gets spun. That's why when you said, well, concern wouldn't be that bad, I would go, no.
Yeah.
It would be an atomic bomb, bro. In his world, it turns into he is not comfortable talking about anything personal with the media, with the public. He's just not.
Yeah. No, I feel in general he has grown as far as the comfort level of being in that setting, but he just doesn't want all these aspects of his life to be open out to the public. So
there's a line he draws, and it's his family, it's his money, it's his health and personal issue. He just doesn't want to get it. And every time you guys try to go in that area, you can see that he's just like, nah, dude, I'm not. He's Derek Jeter-ish.
Yeah,
very Jeter-ish. That like he's going to talk to you, but about the game and all that other stuff, and hell, he has way more personality than Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter, a lot of the times, was very boring. Overall, at least he'll joke around with it. He even joked around about the pause.
Yeah,
that and so he had a little sense of humor with it, but at the same time, he kind of draws a line in the.
Yeah, because he caught how it looked at that point, where you could tell it made him a little uncomfortable. He didn't want to be there, and then so he had to throw a little bit of humor in it. Once you get to that point where you're just like, man, shut the up. Like I don't want. But yeah, I mean, to your point, over time, like we asked him about that QB1 series last year, and then how he said, "Oh yeah, I want to be participating in something like that." Then. Bomb thrown at him that he's got a Hard Knocks coming to the Dolphins, and of course he's going to be one of the guys they're interested in tracking all the time. But if you notice, I know he thought about doing maybe like a sit down, like how they had like features on, whether it's like Zach Sealer one episode, Christian Wilkins one episode, Braxton Berrios one, things like that. And then if you notice that he never had like sort of like that episode where they went to his house and did something like that. So they use a lot of that in the quarterback room footage, and even he was surprised when he found out in a press conference the Wednesday after, he was surprised. Wait, that got out there? That
the presents he gave to all the guys. Golf clubs, right? I think it was, or some shit like that, right?
Well, I don't think that was the one that he was. I mean, I know that was featured on the show, but I don't think that was the thing that he got upset about over it being
Oh no, not upset, but he was kind of surprised of the gifts, I think, or something like that we knew about it, or
yeah, that stuff was fun. Yeah, but
yeah, and that's why he's kind of it's kind of what I talked about before. It's don't just look at what they do, and that'll tell you exactly who they are and where they're going. And Chris Greer will tell you what kind of GM he is. Tua will tell you what kind of person he is. All you got to keep doing is watching exactly where he draws that line every single time. By the way, we are in hurricane season. Welt Rheaume, save the number 954-966-4646. You may not need a lawyer now. God forbid. I hope we don't get hit by any storms. I hope you don't have to ever call Welt Rheaume, but you should have the number. That way you don't have to go, hey, what's that? What's the lawyers that Big O talks about all the time? Bankruptcy. I know a lot of people are having credit card issues right now. Homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense. Hey, what's it called? Sean Kingston, criminal defense. You may want to call Welt Rheaume. Business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury. The number is 954-966-4646. They have their own adjusters. So if something happens to you, you call them, they send the adjusters, and they call the insurance company and handle everything for you. All right, David, what do you got going on the Sun Sentinel so Dolphin fans can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, I was just writing about this past minicamp practice that we had, so you got a full report on that. Terron Armstead, what he said about finally deciding to come back this year. It was his first time speaking to us since he made that decision to come back. And we talked to a lot of assistant coaches today, so I've got a bunch of stuff in the back pocket to just roll out for the days to come. Jalen Ramsey headline, I'll be able to throw up there. Yeah, a lot of content coming off of this very eventful minicamp and a lot of good media access that the Dolphins gave us.
There you go, baby. Follow him on Twitter, David Furones _ catches exceptional work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. We will catch up on Friday, my friend. Appreciate you immensely.
Yes, sir. Thank you.